Cambridge Analytica CEO Alexander Nix arrives at the firm's headquarters in London. Henry Nicholls, Reuters. One challenge in assessing claims made by Cambridge Analytica in undercover videos released by Britain's Channel 4 News is that the firm, by its nature, misrepresents the truth. It's a political and marketing firm that purports to help clients target specific people with specific messages based on detailed psychological profiles of their behavior. But in practice, Cambridge seems instead to focus on fairly typical marketing efforts. In 2005, the online magazine Slate described the then-new parent company of Cambridge, SCL Group, as simply hawking a flashier version of propaganda. Reporting on Cambridge in recent months doesn't seem to deviate from that descriptor by much. On Monday, Channel 4 released video featuring Cambridge CEO Alexander Nix encouraging sting operations involving bribes and paid sex in an effort to swing a campaign in Sri Lanka. On Tuesday, a new video that deals specifically with Cambridge's work in the United States during the 2016 election raises more significant questions about the role the firm played. As we explained earlier this week, Cambridge was hired by the Donald Trump campaign in June 2016, as Trump's push to the general election started to slowly organize. The rationale behind that hire appears to be in large part to secure the support of the wealthy Mercer family, which helped found and fund Cambridge and which, ultimately, mobilized behind Trump's candidacy. There are a few questions that have surrounded Cambridge's role in Trump's campaign. For one thing, the firm was employed both by Trump's campaign and by a pro-Trump independent group called Make America #1 PAC. That group was a vehicle for the Mercer family to spend unlimited funds advocating for Trump's candidacy. Legally, outside PACs running what are called independent expenditure efforts, or IEs, can't coordinate on strategy with campaigns themselves. The rationale is simple: if an outside group that has no contribution limits could work with a campaign on strategy and tactics, there is essentially no point in having campaign limits at all. The campaign could simply tell the IE how to spend all of its millions of dollars. There are also questions about whether any elements of the Trump campaign or its allies coordinated with Russian efforts to interfere in the election. McClatchy reported in July that Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller III's investigators were looking into whether anyone from Trump's team or Cambridge coordinated message targeting with Russian actors. That overlap got a boost last month when Mueller charged 13 Russians with illegally trying to influence Americans on social media during the election. It included detailed descriptions of how the Russians sought to foment division by highlighting controversial subjects and, specifically, to tamp down turnout by encouraging black voters to abstain from voting. Shortly before the election, that same strategy was highlighted in a Bloomberg News report that focused on Trump's digital team, a team that involved Cambridge. "We have 3 major voter suppression operations underway," an unnamed senior official told Bloomberg News' reporters. They're aimed at 3 groups Clinton needs to win overwhelmingly: idealistic white liberals, young women, and African Americans. The campaign later denied that this was the case. All of which brings us to new footage released by Channel 4 on Tuesday. In it, Nix, who was suspended as Cambridge's chief executive earlier in the day, and managing director Mark Turnbull described the efforts they undertook on behalf of Trump's campaign. Turnbull explained that campaigns try to stay on the high road, instead letting outside groups pick up negative information about their opponents. The language he used was interesting. "Sometimes you can use proxy organizations who are already there," he said. "You feed them. We use them, feed them the material, and they do the work. We just put information into the bloodstream of the internet and then watch it grow," he continued. "Give it a little push every now and again over time to watch it take shape. And so this stuff infiltrates the online community and expands, but with no branding, so it's unattributable, untrackable." That split between campaigns staying clean and outside groups going dirty isn't new. But what Turnbull suggests, that they quietly leak information to those outside groups, is much more questionable. As a contractor with Trump's campaign, Cambridge can't coordinate with any outside groups, even outside groups for which Cambridge is also working. Cambridge told Channel 4 that there was a strict firewall inside the organization that kept information from the Trump side away from information on the Make America #1 side, nor could Cambridge's Trump team give strategic advice or information to other outside groups that were involved in supporting Trump's campaign or in opposing Hillary Clinton's. It is entirely circumstantial, but we have to note the following coincidence. On the tape, Turnbull celebrates Cambridge's defeat. Crooked Hillary ads, produced on behalf of Make American No. 1. The O's in "crooked" were transformed into handcuffs, imagery that mirrored Russian interference efforts. Among the more complicated schemes the Russians deployed, according to Mueller's indictment, was hiring an American to dress as Clinton in prison garb and stand on display at a campaign event in a makeshift cage. The Russians, it seems, picked up the criminal Clinton idea from the bloodstream. Any question of Cambridge advocating improper communication between campaign efforts was reinforced by Nix's description of using an email system that deleted messages after a short period, eliminating a paper trail. It was one reason that he appeared to be unconcerned about federal investigators unwinding the firm's campaign work. Another reason was that he was dismissive